afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suavelous day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence to pay.
Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled, Dr. Brother Suave.
Divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your divine social therapist and host of Social Therapy, Dr. Brother Suave. Yes, we're going to continue our series on life after the gridiron and professional sports. Listen, I apologize in advance because we have two of our guest panelists was unable to show up tonight, but we all know the show must go on. And so tonight we're going to be having continuing to talk about life after the gridiron and just really get into the meat and potatoes of life after the sport. And so just be sure to like, subscribe, and share on tonight's broadcast and go on the YouTube channel, Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, and subscribe. And be sure to get yourself ready for tonight's show. So tonight I have two very special guests. And the crazy thing is the two that's on tonight, they are rivalries, but they end up going to the same school. So I'm excited to talk about this. So the first guest we're going to be talking about is Enzo Armello. He's at Florida State University defensive tackle. He was a Miami Springs standout. He was a member of the 1993 national championship team when FSU beat Nebraska. And our next guest is University of Miami All-Star. He was defensive end, was also a champion from University of Miami when they both again beat Nebraska. So I'm excited about him. He's was a sack specialist. Had some stints with Oakland Raiders and the New Orleans Saints. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our very special guest tonight, Mr. Enzo Armello and Javon Anton. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Thank you so much, Brother Enzo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, listen, I just want to tell you thank you. I know that you recently had some challenges, but man, listen, that's what champions do, right? They work for it regardless. They show up and they honor their word, and I just appreciate that, man. And I definitely understood if you was not being able to make it tonight. And it seems, that you show up. So since you're showing up, make sure you show out.
Yes, sir.
So, man, hey, Mr. What's up, Javon? How you doing, man?
What's
Appreciate
good?
you, man. Yes. So isn't this something? We got two superstars, two champions, and guess what? Two Miami Springs alumni. Isn't that something? But guess what? The ironic thing is you got two champions, one from Florida State and one from University. Decades of rivalry. Look at that.
That's what's up.
So Javon, thank you, man. I know with some challenges getting on, man. I appreciate you being patient, professional, and showing up. So since you're showing up, make sure you show out. Okay? All right. So again, Mr. Enzo, we're going to start with you. Just tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into the meeting.
Right. So I in the early 90s, I went to Miami Springs High School. I played football, and I was a pretty high recruit. Was recruited all over the country. I decided to go to Florida State because I wanted, to be close to home, but I didn't want to be at home. You know what I mean? At that time coming up, my parents still treated me like the baby boy. You know what I mean? I just wanted to get away from the family to become a man, and that's really why I went to Florida State. That, and I knew they would win a national championship. I really wanted to win a national championship. It was either the U going to win the championship or FSU going to win a championship. So I figured I'd go to FSU, and that's why I went up there.
Oh, okay. Great. And Javon?
I'm born and raised in Miami. Grew up in Liberty City. Throughout my little kidhood, I played Little League football. I also went to Miami Springs as well. I played football as well there for 3 years. I lettered. The first 2 years that I played at Miami Springs, I played like defensive back and linebacker. I was very tiny, but I hit very hard. Then
Yes.
my senior year, I went from that position to defensive end. Man, I was going to transfer to go to Miami Northwestern because, I wanted to win. A lot of those guys at that school I played Little League with. So, I was going to board ship. But then I thought to myself, like, you know what? I'm going to make a name for myself and put Miami Springs on the map. So, although we didn't win too many games, but all the big games that I played in, I made a big impact. That one impactful year that I had, not even knowing that I was going to go to college to play football, I did get an offer from like a D2 school, Alabama State, I can't even remember, and it was going to recruit me as a defensive back, and the same with FIU. FIU was going to be their first time having a football program, and they was going to, not play that year and play the next year, and I didn't want to be a part of nothing like that. And man, by the grace of God, University of Miami, Florida State, the same week was coming to recruit a junior for the next year. And Buddy Goins, great guy, great head coach of Miami Springs legend, made sure that all the college that came through saw like the seniors highlight film. And within 3 days, I got offered a scholarship from the University of Miami and Florida State. That was the last thing I would have ever expected. So it was a no-brainer to go to UM because that's what my household watched. That's what we believe on the green. So, that was an opportunity for me to go there. And, I went with a great class of 2001.
Yes.
Sean Taylor, rest in peace. Frank Gore, just to name a few, man.
Yeah.
But I came on a great class. I had to earn it. I earned everything I did out there at the University of Miami. Became national championships that first year.
Yeah.
Graduated in 2005. Led the team in sacks. My first year that I led her, didn't do too good my second year, but the third year I led the team in sacks. So 2 out of the 3 years that I played, I led the team in sacks. I went on as a free agent NFL with the Oakland Raiders. Got released by them, got picked up by New Orleans Saints. Made it to the last cuts. Played the last inning of the CFL with the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah.
After that, going to chase my football dream, and then I was struck in with a career-ending situation. I was on my deathbed when I noticed that I had a blood clot.
Yes, sir.
That I was walking around for 2 weeks not knowing, thinking it was a sprained calf. But luckily, I'm here today.
Yes.
We caught that. We didn't catch it soon, but we caught it right on time.
Okay.
And yeah, man, that was the end of that, man. So ever since then, I've been on blood thinners, not be able to play the sport anymore. I don't know, man. That's 10 years, 16 years ago. I'm just glad that I'm alive, man. I'm glad I'm alive. I'm here talking with you guys tonight.
Yes, man. Thank you. So it was some of the things I was going to ask you. You definitely spilled a lot of stuff and cut some of my interview processes a little shorter, but I'm definitely going to continue on. Listen, so when you guys were young, both of you, were being professional athletes ever was a dream for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a kid, come out of the Miami, you think everybody's going to make it to the pros, right? There was every guy in the team, even the walk-ons, everybody was going to make pros.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. For me, I had a career-ending injury against North Carolina. The center I was going against was Jeff Saturday. He was Peyton Manning's center.
Yeah, I remember.
So I had some friendly fire. My own teammate hit me on the screen, and that was it. I could never play professional football or even try because I was a junior. It was the defending national championship year, and my career was cut short. So then I said, well, you know what? I better get in the books and I better study hard because you know what? In my mind, I was going to make the pros, even though I probably didn't have a chance to make it. Maybe not. I knew I was going pro. That's the mindset that all the kids had back in the early 90s.
Yeah. And yourself, Javon?
For me, I won't say really growing up, I thought I wanted to play NFL, be a professional football player. You know, when I played, you know, amongst my friends and my peers growing up, we just played out of the love of the sport. I knew I liked the sport, you know, and again, like I said, I wouldn't thought in a million light years that I went to the University of Miami. So like when that became reality, and you know, growing up with Willis McGahee, you know, we grew up 4 streets apart. You know, we went to elementary, middle school, high school, and seeing the how dominant he was in the collegiate level, and seeing that, you know, this guy is on his way to the NFL. So that reality hit me like, hey, I'm here now, and I have an opportunity to get in there. So now that I see that it's reachable, I try to do as much as I can to attain those dreams later on as I understood the sport of football.
Okay.
Willis went to Springs too. Willis McGahee, he was at Springs for a while because his older brother, Eugene Poole, played with me.
Correct.
So I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so we all on the hot board.
Okay. So, and again, you guys, it's just coincidence again, you guys went to Springs, but you end up being, you know, doing very well at your at your schools, and then you end up going to University of Miami and one going to FIU. So I want you guys, starting with Javon, tell me about you guys, the rivalry, how you, in terms of psychologically playing against people you grew up with and going to these schools.
So, like I said, growing up our household, you know, we was Kansas fans. We didn't so much dislike Florida State, but I understood that that was a rivalry of those teams didn't like each other, you know? You know, that first year at UM, you know what I'm saying? Every practice was hard, bro, from the summertime, morning runs, springtime, like everything was always tough. Practice was like the hardest practice ever. The first week, it was FSU week. I saw a complete change. It was like madness. It was like, it's Florida State week. They're playing the motherfucking chant, excuse my language, all day on the loudspeakers. All day. The coaches' asses are tight. Like, I'm like, yo, practice is already crazy enough.
They
but
get in your head.
They turned it up a notch when it was against Florida State. So me, as a, you know, freshman, I'm still learning and understanding this part of the game. So as I just sit back and see how intensity practice is, because I'm on a scout team. So, you know, I have to give the Brian McKinney's and the Vernon Carey's, I have to give them the best look. And I'm 120 pounds, you know, you know what I'm saying? But giving it my all. So, yeah, man, from that first week that I learned about Florida State, every week that we played with Florida State was the same intensity. So, that was a big rivalry for us.
And so, and that intensity for you was about 5 years, correct?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I think I lost to Florida State. I'm like 5-1 or 4-1.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and
we lost.
You had to deal with that intensity and that stress for 5 years.
Man. I mean, it wasn't really stress after you understood the magnitude of what the game was. So you just understand that the coaches are just being on our ass extra tight because they know that it's going to always go down to the wire.
Yeah, because what I noticed over the years, even though you have all these different colleges and universities in the state of Florida, it seemed like the state championship will be considered Florida State and University of Miami. We didn't really look at University of Florida, even though they become competitive, but it would seem like who wins that game is state champions.
I mean, not during that time that Florida State and UM, you know, was running that. You know, Florida State was both our little brothers.
Enzo?
Yeah, so when I played in the early '90s, so the winner of the Miami Florida State game would be a national champ. That's who would be the national champ. I mean, aside from the bragging rights, you know, in Miami, that's where it was. So we had all the guys from Miami down to, say, the bottom. You know what I mean? We not even the guys from Broward. We call them cowards from Broward.
Cowards from Broward and renegades from Dade.
Right, exactly. So you know, when I played, I mean, so you had the bragging rights, you had the national champ. Whoever won the national championship, and I mean, and it got crazy. It got up to the highest level. Like, I remember there's a story, I don't know if you ever heard about it, Suave, where some FSU players went to Luke's nightclub. Luke, he videotaped what the players were saying. It was a fullback named William Floyd. He was talking about how he's going to be.
Oh yeah.
And what they did is he went the next morning. Luke went the next morning, had the videotape, and showed it to the team, and it pissed the team off like nothing, like you wouldn't believe. You know what I mean? So that's the type of rivalry it was. Everybody knew about it, and whoever won the game. You know what I mean? For me, it hurt me because we lost 2 wide rights. And I don't know if you're too young or not to remember that, but those wide rights really hurt because I got 1 national championship. I should have really had 3. I mean, it was the last second field goal, chip shots, and they both went right. So that's for me. It's hard because I could have had 3 national championships.
Yes, great. So listen, right now we're just going to go into station identification, and we right back. Okay.
All right.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice, you heard? Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlisters Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers like you. Thank you. Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice, you heard?
Hey, how you doing? And we're back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave as we continue our series with Life After the Gridiron and Professional Sports. And we have a very special guest, Mr. Javon Nanton and Enzo Armello. Javon, when we was talking about those championship teams you had, I was just doing a little research, and out of 22 starters in that Rose Bowl, 19 were drafted, 13 were Pro Bowl players at some point, and 43 total Pro Bowl appearances. And you was mentioning, oh, you don't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Armello, do you hear me? Enzo, you don't hear me? Okay. I don't know. Let me check. Well, anyway, you were saying it was a lot of players. I'm talking about, I remember it was so many different players, and I was just like back to back with all those athletes you had. So listen, I'm sorry guys for looking down. I just had to just type in this because he having difficult times hearing. All right. I put it in for you so we can make sure you hear. Okay. I just typed it in. So anyway, you had a lot of players, and it was like great players. I'm talking about, and the funny thing is, you're so humble. You were one of those great players. I mean, come on. I watch you. How many of those people was on the front of the Miami Herald all the time? I remember the Marcus Vick. Oh my God, you was on the front, the back, about 3 sections of them. The main front, and it was just always there. I remember I forgot when y'all remember the time y'all had some old school uniforms from the 60s. I was like, what was the green and gray, something like that?
Yeah, no, green and gold.
Green and gold, yeah, that like New Orleans color. It looked like not San Francisco. It looked like that. But man, you've been humble, but y'all had a lot of all-star players, man. And I don't know why you never saw that being a professional athlete, because you was outstanding and Parks and Recreation, high school, and everything. So can you hear me?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that like coming out of high school. But once I stepped at University of Miami and understood, I came in with Ed Reed. You know what I'm saying? And like when I seen these guys, they look like men amongst boys.
Yeah.
So it's like when those guys spoke, everybody listened.
Yeah.
So you had no choice but to listen and follow suit. So you understood how the hours that we put in, the hard work we put in the gym and on the field. Like
Brother Wally,
I knew what it was.
Yeah.
We knew what it was. Like those practices, like I tell people all the time, man, those practices we had wasn't normal. Like our practices was harder than the games. Like I swear, like it was crazy. Where like guys were like knocking heads off and crack backing each other. Like it was really a war out there. But then it's like when we off the field, we in the locker room, it was all love.
Yeah.
So, understanding morale, what I'm saying, leadership, accountability, what I mean, on the field, off the field, and that we carry off life. Like I understood that what I was a part of.
Yeah.
I'm humble of it, but like I wear it on my sleeve. Like it kind of shaped me into the man who I am today.
Mm-hmm. And Enzo, one of the things I was talking to Javon about was during the time he was out in his era, it was so many great players, so many Pro Bowl, so many drafted, and so many Pro Bowl appearances. And so I want to share you any of the people you played who were just making all these appearances in the league, and how proud of you of them, and just tell me about your experience with.
When with the guys we played with, you know what I mean, UM and Florida State had the most in the league. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Played with guys like Derek Brooks, Warwick Dunn, Walter Jones, Edgar Bennett. There's a lot of guys that were in the league. Lonnie Johnson from Miami High. We had a lot of guys that made it to the pros and had long careers.
Mm-hmm.
And the top two were the two Hall of Famers. Walter Jones was left tackle for Seattle Seahawks, and Derek Brooks. Yeah, those are two guys that we played with, that I played with.
Mm-hmm. Now,
did you play with Sean Key?
Sean Key, yes, sir. American High School. He's class.
Tommy Pauly?
Tommy
Pauly. Them my guys, man.
Those my guys. They were young. They were young bucks. So I was on my way out when they were coming in.
So yeah, I'm gonna drop a little secret, but also going to the University of Miami and understanding the dynamics of everything, understanding politics, understanding coaching, understanding that guys are trying to make it to the next level, competition. When I was brought in, I was recruited by Butch Davis. So when Butch Davis brought me in, I was never recruited by any of the defensive coaches that was there. And being that Butch was the head coach, he made that call to bring me in. I was his guy. Before I got there, Butch decided to leave and he went to the Cleveland Browns, So being that I already had verbally, agreed to go to University of Miami, but they had oversigned football scholarships. So, being I already told FSU that I was going to go there, it was almost that I didn't go to UM. So I almost got the raw end of the deal. But they end up making it right. But then when I go back and look at it, I wouldn't trade anything that I had in those 5 years in the University of Miami. But what I know today, if I knew back then, I would have went to the University of, I would have went to FSU. Because then those coaches would have still been there. They would have right for me, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like my journey wouldn't have been as hard You know, like I said, I earned to get on that field. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy, but you know, I know where I came from, and I was cut from a different cloth. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like the guys like Willie Jones who with the Kansas City, you know what I'm saying? Those are my guys. Like, you know what I mean? I would have loved to play with them. Clifton Dixon is a cousin of mine, he was there. And it just would have been I would have loved to have been that bad guy from Miami that came
Yeah.
down here, you know, right to you. But at the end of the day, man, that's my school, man. I love them. I love my brothers, and go Canes.
Okay. Because I was just getting ready to start some mess because we got two rivalries and it seemed like y'all being all tight, lovey-dovey. Now, wait a minute now. You know, I'm like, what's going on here now? Wait a minute. So, so Enzo, so you was mentioning your journey to the league was interrupted by a career-ending injury. Let's
Yes,
talk
sir.
about the injury.
So basically, you know, it was a screen. It was against North Carolina. I was on ESPN. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Prime time, 8:00 at night. I read the screen. Like I said, Jeff Saturday was the center. Read the screen, and I hustled because those days, if you didn't go full speed, they'd bench you. I mean, it ain't like today where you see people loafing and I mean,
Ain't loaf. You better not loaf.
So I went full speed, and then right when I was going to plant and make the tackle, the safety came up and hit me in the knee. He missed the tackle, and he speared me in the knee. The free safety speared me in the knee, and it was a career. Unfortunately, it wasn't his fault, but it was a career-ending injury. That happens a lot on defense when you got guys flying around to get the ball, and then you hit each other. It's called friendly fire. It's a military term that they use in football, which basically means your own man took you out.
Oh wow. So Devon, before I transition into asking you the question, I want to do a little bragging on you. It was maybe the third preseason game. I watch you dominate. I watch you get all those rushes, and I watch you put Vince Young out of the game. Tell me what went through your head in that moment.
Man, I was just trying to make a name for myself, man. Like, when I went to Oakland Raiders, I went there because of like the lack of depth that they had defensive end spot. But I kind of regret going there because like that was like a losing organization. So like being a young guy coming from the University of Miami, they practice tactics, the way they practiced and did things was just different. And like it was wasted time.
Yeah, but
So
you did
when I
so
went
well in New Orleans.
So when I went to New Orleans,
I couldn't even see you being cut.
Their coaches is Sean Payton. It's his first year. We had Millsap, Mississippi. It's totally different. The way he ran practice, the way the practice it was just like being back at the U. So it was like being back at home. Showing my toughness, practicing in that heat. And like, I don't know, man. That playing in the NFL in that preseason, like NFL to me was honestly easy. Coming from Green Tree, it's like I'm like, yo, like I belong here.
Yes.
But then understanding, being undrafted, not having any money vested in you, being a bubble guy, that task of making that team is just that harder. Yeah. I wish I could have applied myself better on a special team. You know what I mean? I didn't do that in college and things of that nature. But man, I don't know, man. Just being there, man, I felt like I belonged.
Yeah.
My peers was there. My peers was playing. You know what I'm saying? I just knew that I just needed the right opportunity and situation, and it was gonna work out for me.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah. And for you guys, I watched him play throughout the preseason. I mean, he was dominating all the rushes. I'm like, I just don't even see him. But like he said, that they didn't have any money invested in him because I just think that they could have cut someone else who they had money invested in.
In the NFL, you can't cut no fourth round or third rounder for a free agent. That don't look good look good on the team.
Yeah, but it'll pay off in the end if they would have kept you. So so tell us about your blood clots.
I think 2006 was that same my rookie year. I was training, keeping myself in shape, waiting for that phone call. 'Cause I know it was coming. And like I said, I was training. I thought I sprained the calf muscle. Ever since Little League, man, I was taught to be tough, man. You get hurt, you know. If you hurt, you're hurt. If you injured, you're injured. I was hurt, you know. So, like I said, for 2 weeks, man, I walked around on this sore calf muscle that I thought I sprained.
Yeah, I remember the.
And one Friday, I was going to go work out like I usually do, and it was just, man, every breath that I took was like the worst pain I ever felt in my life. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I was, you know, I'm young, man. I know I'm healthy. I'm just like, something's not right. Make a long story short, I checked myself into the hospital, complaining of chest pains. Man, 30 days later, I got out. First week I spent in the ICU. Being so young and being so healthy, I really didn't know what was going on.
Yes.
But understanding that I was in ICU and seeing the doctors talk to my family, I'm like, yo, like I'm nearly about to die.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was like a real near-death experience. Something that was very scary and life-changing. The irony of it, I got offered a contract from the Buffalo Bills. Speaking with my doctors, we tried to see if I can get a waiver, the same thing that Chris Bosh did. So I gave the doctor a waiver to see, you know, if he allowed me to play. And this was the very first taste of reality when he looked at me and asked me, did I want to die? And when he looked at me, I'm like, yeah, I'd die to play football. Like, literally, like, yeah. He was like, I'm sorry, but I can't approve this. And that's when I knew that it was over. Because I had to take blood thinners for the next 4 months of my life. I couldn't eat certain things. I couldn't work out. I couldn't bruise. It was like, yo, I lost like 25 pounds of muscle. And yeah, that was that, man. But at the end of the day, I'm alive. I'm here. I'm healthy.
Yes.
And that's the best part of it.
Yeah. And so this is what I was transitioning into, and the difficulties, and as you just shared some difficulties in transition out of the game. So I wanted to ask you guys, you guys struggle with any depression, identity issues, and also you cover, but still wanting to play the game or even entertain any other professional sports? You can start, Enzo.
Yeah, so when I got hurt, it was a career-ending injury. So, you know, I really had no time to think about it, or it's not something like Devon where, you know, it was over time. You know what I mean? For me, it was a one-shot deal. You're never going to play again because, you know, you walk with a limp. You know what I mean? You have a nerve damage. So I did get into depression. You know what I mean? I missed that high of the football. You know what I mean? And I never got into any drugs or anything like that. But I did go through some depression right after football. Until finally, you know, I said, you know what, it was out of my control. It was meant to be, and you know, I got to focus on my studies and get better, and that's what I did. Yeah.
And Javon, any issues with depression, identity issues? Or still, you did say you still had the desire to play, but the reality hit you.
No, at that moment, but I had a very strong support system with my grandfather, who's no longer with us today. My grandfather was my everything, man.
Yes.
My grandfather was a guy that, if anybody that I trust, that was the man that I trust. Whatever he told me, I understood. He was there when the news was broken down to me that, you know, that my football career was over. So, of course, I cried. I was hurt. And but also at the University of Miami, I was trained to like, hey, man, forget it and drive on. You know? Hey, it is what it is. My grandfather looked at me and told me, hey, son, I know it hurts. It hurts me to see you hurt. And, you know, that's a part of life. He said, but now, you know, you're going to shake this off. When you're done grieving, let you know it's time to find a job.
Yeah.
And knowing that I had that support, I didn't care, or it didn't bother me that I couldn't play anymore. I was just happy to be alive.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you know, my family still supported me. You know what I mean? I was a huge success, man. You know, my family was happy to see me go to the University of Miami. They seen me chase my dream, and I tasted it. But, you know, being that I still have my friends, my peers that still play the game, I'm still a fan of the game. I never lost my interest in the game. And, yeah, man, I never really had no depressing moments of not playing that game.
Okay. Did you ever have any family members who was ever trying to get you into things like, since you was a big guy, into professional wrestling or something like that?
Oh, me? Me? Talking
No,
about
I
me?
was asking Vaughn because he was a big guy,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to, because sometimes people have people in their family who was professional wrestler and then try to get those people in professional wrestling.
So,
I don't
so
know.
you know,
You have-
people have a tendency of, just because you're a tall, minority athlete, that's all you can do is sport things, Man, if it wasn't football, man, I ain't want to be doing anything physical. If it's not, I work out and things of that nature.
Mhm.
I didn't want to get lost in that identity.
Yes.
So, and like I said, I can play sport. I can play basketball. I can play football, baseball, whatever. Super athletic. But no, they have. I didn't. I wanted to get to my future, man. I wanted to get a head start on life.
Mhm.
I saw friends and peers. Football didn't work out for them, and they kind of chased the dream too long. And it's like you got 3 years, man. After 3 years of not being in the league, after 3 years out of being out of college, you're just a regular Joe Blow, and you got to go through life and figure it out. And it can be a tough road. Especially
Mhm.
like when you're not giving out or putting out anything, people turn their back on you. But
Mhm.
like I said, I had my grandfather and told me nobody promised me or promised nobody owes me anything.
Yes.
If I want it, I gotta go get it. And that's what I live by, man.
Yeah, I was just curious because a lot of times pro college athletes and professional athletes transition well in the sport of professional wrestling. I just was wondering, you know, if that's something that anyone tried to get you into.
Too
But
much wear and
obviously,
tear on the body, man. Too much wear and tear on the body.
oh
Too
yes,
many
yes, it's definitely
painkillers.
a lot of wear and tear. So so now you both are not in the sport. You both had your transition. So now you start a whole different world. Are any of you guys parents or anything?
Yes, sir. Yes, we are. I am.
Okay, you're a parent.
Hmm.
How many kids you have?
5 kids.
5 kids. So how was that from being okay? So being an athlete and now becoming a parent. Was that all? How was that feeling?
I mean, for me, it was a great feeling. I always wanted to be a father. I had a great father. I had a great mother. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I always wanted boys. And then what I realized is once you have the boys, you really want girls. So I got my I got my 3 girls, and I'm happy. So yeah, I mean, my son Julian, he's a true freshman at Florida State now. Uh,
Okay.
I taught him everything that I know. His mother, her father was 6'5", so my son is 6'6". He's 6'6", 330 pounds. He was the number 1 tackle coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas. And he
Great.
decided to go to Florida State on his own. I mean, to be honest with you, and Devon talked about this before. When he said he should have went to Florida State, I told June, I said, with your potential, you should go somewhere where they develop offensive linemen. You know what I mean? And up to now at Florida State, they got Coach Atkins, which they're going to be developing. But historically, they haven't been known for offensive linemen. You know what I mean? They've been known for DBs, and things like that. Wide receivers and speed positions.
Mm.
But he decided to go to Florida State on his own, follow my footsteps, and he's at Florida State now, and he's currently second string as a true freshman behind the left tackle.
Okay, yes, I
So,
did see him. I thought he was starting because I'm always seeing him in the game, picking people up and doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah.
getting a lot of PT, huh?
Yeah, I taught him that. I said, listen, man, once they score a touchdown, be the first one down. You pick up the running back, and they'll get you on the camera.
Get that camera, yes, yes, yes. So it's great. And Vaughn,
yeah, I'm a
parents?
father too. I have a 16-year-old son who attends Miami Northwestern. He plays defensive tackle, and I have a
Okay.
9-year-old daughter. She's just a little sweetheart, little
Oh
woman she
man.
is. Yeah, that's my 2 kids that I have.
So is your son, is he athletic? Is he you say he plays for Northwestern? He's a good athlete too?
Yeah, my son. Speaking of transitioning, my son is now 16 years old. Like I just said, this is his second year living with me as a full-time father, full-time parent. My son, he's from Atlanta, Georgia. He moved down last year. He started a new school year with me. It's been a new transition for the both of us. Where he's at right now in football, he's developing. He's very raw, but he's learning. He's around competition. He's seeing guys that, who's potentially going to go to college, who's going to potentially maybe go to the NFL. They have a good alumni base. A lot of those guys come back and give to the kids. So just putting him around that atmosphere and showing him, this is what it is. Now you have the decision to make. Mm-hmm. I'm more of the dad. I'm not the coach dad. It's already been hard being a father for him. So I don't want to put that unnecessary pressure on him trying to be a dad coach. So I allow those coaches to be his coach. And I just be a father, give him that support and things that I see from the side that, I know that can help him. Then, I sit him down and go over those things with him on that aspect. But let him know it's still that he has to go out there and apply those things. I can tell him everything I know. But if he doesn't apply it, we know how that goes.
So, Javon, just to let you know what I did with my son Julian was I was the same way. I didn't want to coach him, but what I did was I did impart the fundamentals of the game to him. So that's what I recommend you did. That's what I did with my son. I didn't coach him, but I just taught him the fundamentals. I made sure that he knew the fundamentals of playing offensive line, and that was the difference because you were in the league. It's all fundamentals. The higher you go, it's all fundamentals.
Correct. Correct. I let him know, hey man, when you're in there, you got to run those feet. You got to run to the ball to the whistle blow. And that's that. You can't quit. It's just effort. Effort is all I preach. In the house, it's the small things. That's something that they taught us back at the University of Miami. The small things, man. Hey, you see the trash, pick it up. Turn the lights off. Clean up after yourself. Just those small things.
Character building.
You take care of those small things. Everything else is gonna take care of itself.
Absolutely.
So that's how I try to to approach it with him with it.
And so as we go through the parenthood, so you both are great parents, and you both are doing like teaching a little basic, but you're staying back because you'd rather be a parent. And then also you're able to tell them.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm being a bad parent because me and my son, we got to eat. Got caught in mouth.
Okay. What we'll do is we're just gonna close this out, and so I'm gonna just let you go, and then we just answer a couple of questions, and then we just let you go because we got about 5 minutes. But I'll just close it out with Enzo. Okay. So listen. So as a parent, because I do notice some parents are overdo it, and like I love when you said you'll be a parent. And like Enzo said, teach them a little fundamentals, things that'll help them, because teaching them a little fundamentals, and it's not always physical, but it's the mental, saying follow the rules, pay attention, watch, and apply. Because I could tell you, both of you want to make sure they get the best fundamentals, and make sure you make the best decisions, what's in the best interest of your child's future. Because I have a friend of mine, he played at University of Miami as well as West Virginia, and a lot of things I watch him on social media, and I know him personally. He's just trying to make sure his son make the best decisions without being overbearing. And I think sometimes you don't want to ever have our children to hate the sport. It's a beautiful sport, but you want to make them, because it's about character, and it's not just the sport, but learning responsibilities, and that carries over for a lifetime. And so I want to tell you, thank you, Vaughn. I'm glad you came and showed. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for just giving us your part. And I just want to tell you, man, continue to be great. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Enzo, right, man, nice meeting you, brother.
Likewise, man. Take care.
We meet in a couple of weeks, though.
All right.
Okay. All right. And so, Enzo.
Yes, sir.
So reinventing yourself. Sports is no longer in the picture. So when I was doing my research, and I know certain things, but for the sake of questioning, you're a surgical salesman.
Yes.
What's that like?
So basically, I'm in the operating room with the surgeons, and I make recommendations on what devices to use. Sometimes the surgeons listen to me, sometimes they don't. Surgeons are people that really know what they're doing. And I'm just a rep. I'm not a doctor, but I do know my devices better than anybody. So it's just recommendations, and you're in the operating room with them, and then they're there for the surgery. You get in and you leave. That's basically my job. How I got into it if that's your question, is when I graduated from Florida State, I was basically under a wing of a booster. It was a gentleman that was a Florida State booster, and he recognized that I was good with people. So he gave me a job as an intern, but he recognized real quickly. He said, "Enzo, you're good with people. You should definitely be in sales." And he was a very smart man, so I took his advice, and that's why I transitioned from college and the football, and I wanted to take his advice, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Yes, and because again, sometimes people struggle with transition, trying to find a career. And then one thing about being a college athlete or a pro athlete or athlete, it's the ego. And sometimes you only see yourself as being at these jobs, high-paying jobs, and you're trying to equate it to entertainment and sports, where it's a big difference. And sometimes you can spend your whole life saying, "I'm not going to take this job," but then 1 year passed, 2 years, then half a decade, then a decade, and you're still trying to say, I'm this player, but you're no longer the player.
Right.
And it's hard for you to take a job or even go back to school to finish up your degree.
Right.
But for you got your degree, you made the right connections, and it worked out for you.
I mean, truly, it's a vocation. I have a vocation. I've been with the same company for over 20 years. I've been selling for 30 years. Like I said, I just took, the man was smart. Like, if you gave me advice, I would listen. It was a different time. You just listened, and I'm glad I listened.
Yes, I see you got your little your jersey back there.
Yeah, it's my office.
Mellow. It's two Armellos out there, 72 and 75.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. And so, man, I'm just really happy that you was able, you and Javon. I didn't get a chance to start some mess because I definitely wanted to, but it's all good, man. Thank you, because the journey, because it is life after football. And right. You guys became, great. I mean, I love to hear how you guys, with your children, how you are with your stories, and you're part of a fraternity. That story is going to be forever. That football fraternity, and the championship that you can always have, because people have those rings, they have those memories, those jerseys, and those things are part of you. But also, when you reinvented yourself, you became a father, you became a professional outside of the game of football. Right. And so it's always a great thing to do, because I know people still struggling. Struggling economically, struggling emotionally, spiritually, financially, and sometimes it turns out good, and sometimes it turns out bad. Right. But for you, it turned out pretty good.
Right. It turned out pretty good. I mean, it's just exactly what you said. It's life after football. I actually have it on my tag. I have a tag that has initials LAF, and I always said, life after football. You laugh because there's life after football. LAF, laugh. And that's been my motto, and I've been blessed. So I appreciate all the love. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I just want to thank you again. And listen, this was another episode of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, as we continued our series, Life After the Gridiron and Professional Sports. So we enjoyed Mr. Armello. It was a great show. Thank you, guys. And just always remember, take pride in what you do. And just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard?
What's up, everyone? I'm Brandy the Disconnector, wife, show host, entrepreneur, investor, and ICS certified life coach, here to tell you that I'm on NPN TV, the network that is by us and for us. Lock in and let's get it.
like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlisters Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPN TV from viewers